Saat ini eksklusif sudah bergabung bersama kami Emma Allen, Country Economist ADB, Asian Development Bank Indonesia, yang merupakan salah satu keynote speaker dari acara tersebut. Emma Allen, what can be projected when we talk about economic outlook prediction on Indonesia?
Thank you very much. So I've had a chance to look at the recent GDP data that just came out last week, and I've seen that the economy is on track on 5.2% for Q3. So for 2018, ADB is expecting Indonesia's annual growth to come in at 5.2%, and it seems that the economy is on track for delivering that growth outcome. We're expecting a further acceleration of growth in 2019, and we hope to see 5.3%.
Can our economy be, because we also consider about the stronger global external factor that could impact the Indonesian economic growth and pace. What is your take on this?
Growth has been supported by strong domestic demand, and we've seen domestic demand remain robust for household consumption, coming in at 5.1% in Q3, so it's remained robust throughout the year. We've also seen a strengthening of investment, and this is very interesting. I looked at investment, and I saw that investment accelerated from 5.4% in Q2, 8.4% in Q2 to 8.6% in Q3. So what this tells me is that the economy is being driven by strong domestic demand.
Emma, I'm accompanied with my friend from research team, Hidayat, Setiaji. Aji?
Okay. Ms. Emma, do you see that pressure on rupiah is easing right now? Do you see that this easing is kind of sustainable, or is it going to be another pressure in the rest of the year?
For the regional economy, for developing Asia, ADB puts growth at 6% for 2018 and a slight easing to 5.8% in 2019. We're seeing that growth in the major advanced economies is on track with what we forecast earlier in the year, but we're expecting the US economy to tick up slightly, and that's good for Indonesia because Indonesia is an export partner with the US. And one of the interesting trends that we've seen in the data so far is that there has been a strengthening of labor-intensive products such as textiles and wearing apparel, as well as footwear. And this represents an opportunity for Indonesia to accelerate its exports to developed economies.
Yeah. Okay. Among the other emerging markets in Asia, how will you project? Where are we, Indonesia, regarding its pace? How do you measure our pace and speed regarding or maybe compared to the other emerging market countries?
Indonesia, we have a growth projection for the ASEAN economies, and because Indonesia is such a large economy in ASEAN, we see that the growth trend in ASEAN is on track with Indonesia. For China, we're expecting growth at 6.8%, which is good news for the region. That's a solid growth, and many of the economies are trade partners with China, which means that their economies will also be supported by external demand.
Emma, rupiah is one of the currency in Asia that take a big hit from currency depreciation. Do you see this currency depreciation will continue for the rest of the year and maybe 2019 for next year? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question about whether we're in a new normal. We are seeing the US has been increasing its interest rates, and a lot of what we've seen with the Indonesian rupiah is also what we've seen in some of your neighboring countries. Many of the countries in the region have been experiencing depreciation of their currency, and what this tells us is that something to do with the strengthening of the US dollar against global currencies. That's the current trend that we've seen. However, very interestingly, last week we did see the rupiah start to recover somewhat. This is very encouraging, and I assume that it's associated with some of the good data releases that have just come out. Indonesia's growth is strong, backed by solid domestic demand. The reserves remain ample, and inflation remains anchored. So I see that Indonesia's in a good position, and hopefully we will continue to see a good performance of the rupiah.
Dan untuk menyaksikan tayangan ini lebih lengkap, klik link di deskripsi di bawah ini. Saya Erwin Surya Brata, CNBC Indonesia, Beyond Business.